what to say about my next guest here on the Macauley Project podcast, Geremy Lague. I have known Geremy for 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, I don't know how many years now. We went to university together, started off by making some school projects, student films together, and he always had super funny ideas, and I always wanted to be involved and do stupid things like that. He's very into making things in all sorts of ways, and whether it's printmaking or films or basically anything creative whatsoever. So this is a great conversation about making things and art and everything in general like that. It's really funny, great talk, and we ended up just getting lost in it and going for a while. This is the longest episode yet. Hope you guys enjoy. I had a blast. So here's me with my good friend Geremy Lague. Let's get this intro bit going. But seriously though, it was garbage.
Yeah, no, I refused to watch it. I tried to give the algorithm, I just clicked it for 5-10 seconds, stopped watching, and then hit thumbs down.
Yeah, Matt's episode, the very first episode of this podcast, is the biggest waste of time and energy.
And I can only aspire to be the second biggest waste of time and energy.
Well, I was messaging Matt earlier, and I said I'm recording with Geremy tonight, so now you have some competition. You just got to beat his 24 downloads, and you will.
24.
Yeah, he's got 24 downloads on podcast streaming stuff, and then 61 views currently on YouTube.
Man, it's all going to be in that thumbnail, Steve. I'm gonna have to.
I know. Yeah, got to give me a good picture for that. Well, I haven't really been doing thumbnails for the YouTube channel so much.
Oh.
Just the I use whatever they have there, but I've been doing photos, promo photos, which I think have been coming up pretty good on the.
No, I think they look classy. It's it's like a formal announcement. But it is. It's
yeah, it is. It really.
It's like can I swear?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Shit.
Okay.
Shit,
yeah. Oh shit. Yeah. Oh shit. Fuck yeah. Steve's got another episode of the podcast
out. It's true. It's I kind of treat it like a concert poster. I remember making those for shows, and it would be like, oh yeah, or you get to find somebody new to make it, and you get all sorts of weird stuff. Doing local music show posters is the coolest thing.
Yeah. Well, there's something really pure about postering, right? It is just a 1-to-1. That this poster isn't gonna go super far,
right?
And because of that, okay, I'm gonna make 25 of these. Gonna get some glitter.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's do this.
let's bust out the glitter. We're talking gold and silver.
Yeah,
maybe even a bright pink.
Mm-hmm. You know what? As a father of one who glitters, there's a thing that happens where you can see if someone glitters stuff.
Yeah,
and that is that as you do it, you slowly build up this palimpsest of the discarded glitter that kind of is an indication of what you're into glitter wise. Like the child's is very pink and purple, and there's other stuff in there, but it's the discarded glitter which you can use again, right? It's like a mole, if you will. But
just using so many words I don't understand, like glitter and use.
But it's like your glitter profile, right?
Right.
You slowly build it up, and it never kind of goes away. right? Like you're always adding to it a little bit more. Anyway,
That makes sense.
that's the sign of a glitterer. Like you see
It's
their
a very
custom.
specific medium. Like you have to be a certain type of psychopath to use glitter as a medium.
It's true. It's the worst. It's literally, if I could get it all out of my house, I would.
You'll have to burn that house down. There's no way.
It's embedded. I'm gonna have some sort of medical procedure, and they're gonna open up that vein or artery or shove the camera up there, and it's gonna be like Twilight inside.
Whoever invented glitter, I hope, is rotting in hell.
I mean, their own personal one for sure, at the very least.
Yeah, they must have been like, oh, look how shiny this is. And then 3 seconds later, regret everything that led up to that moment.
What have I done? What have I done?
The FBI walks in and shoots him in the back of the head.
It's the first
It's worse
bit
than
of
the
glitter.
nuclear bomb.
The first bit of glitter is like housed by the smallpox in that base in the U.S. deep underground.
Yeah.
Because it's too fine. It's so fine.
You know what? The thing about this, I'm surprised they don't use it as a weapon. Like, it would be like a non-fatal weapon that would just be so annoying people would give up.
It's like it's like weaponized pocket sand, honestly.
Right. If you just like had a big old bomber jet fly over and it opens up its cargo bay and it's just glitter over your capital city, you would surrender immediately. You'd be like,
that's literally horrifying, Stephen. That is
you would
a
ruin the
nightmare.
lives of hundreds of thousands of people. More like, yeah, sure. A nuclear bomb happens, you get vaporized. You're done. You don't even notice it.
Yeah.
You get that like 40 pounds of glitter on your home.
It's there forever.
There's a new jihad.
You would have to adapt your life to that, right? Like just think of like the drainage problems, like just that alone.
It's
what you have to deal
biowarfare.
with.
That's what it is.
It's true.
Glitter is biowarfare. I'm saying it here right now on
Yeah.
this podcast for everyone to hear.
After the glitter bomb drops and you have your first fresh cooked bowl of rice and you look into it and it's just evenly dispersed, not unlike the spice in Dune, and you just have to.
You just eat it because it's not
Gotta
gonna
do
like
it.
kill you. It's
No.
just annoying.
It's gonna bedazzle your
It's just-
life for the
yeah,
rest of time.
It's gonna bedazzle your colon for sure.
Oh my god.
Oh, but speaking of posters, I was gonna ask
Mhm.
you about printmaking. If you're still
What do you-
doing any printmaking.
I haven't been printmaking for quite some time. I did a lot of it in school,
Mhm.
and I really liked it, and I really got into it. And then I started working at a job,
Yeah, that happens.
and you do the thing where like all the skills transfer over, and like people find out you can make posters, and
Right.
like in where I was working is like branded posters, right? Like like, that's a need for people. And then after a while, like it's not that I hated it, but it did become less fun. And
Yeah.
I usually wouldn't have enough time to like fully develop a thing or like engage with whatever group I was working with.
Mhm.
And it kind of became a thing of like, okay, here's the logo on the template. And I'll just drag the same thing in. But like, it's in a way it's
Sure,
like just
sure.
efficient, where you're like outputting things with the same style for ease, but they're a cohesive thing. And then whatever science talk is,
Right.
promoted. But I haven't like,
Do you think
been
there's
using-
even a place for it anymore?
oh yeah, no, please. Yeah, of course. There's
Where do you see it mostly?
like printmaking or
Yeah, printmaking. Like as for somebody who is an artist, I
Mhm.
am struggling right now to think of things other than like if I were at the mall or something and I might see something, but I can't think of like
Mhm.
a common place where it'd be like, oh yeah, of course you'd need printmakers for.
Yeah, well, there's a definite like one-to-one like interaction of printmaking now that's coming, and like it's become a more intimate thing. Like you're like outputting these posters or posts for the podcast, and like they're
Right.
nice and appealing and they're alluring, but like, you know, I don't think we're getting wedding invitations that way yet, unless like speed is like a critical thing. But
Get
because of
married
it,
in
it's
15 minutes.
well,
Better be there.
it's got to happen, right? But it's a whole thing of like, you know, like the tactility of it is becoming special, right? Like it's now
Right.
like become like it's now charming because it's not as prevalent or anything. And just today, the child and I drove by. You've seen this exact thing. It's by the University of Regina, and it's
Yep.
a round like I don't even know. It's a cylinder where people post stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Paper
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, she was just asking me about it, and she was like, "How does it stay dry in the rain? And don't they care if it gets wet and wrecked, and all these sorts of things?" And I'm like, "That's kind of part of that device. Like that's part of the thing.
The death
like
of the art itself is part of the whole cycle.
Yeah. You know, and like it's going up, and like maybe it's to promote whatever thing. Maybe it's a thing you really hate, and you like rip it down. Maybe it's got those sweet little what do you call it, like the chads that you like rip off to get that phone number.
Yeah. Or it's
But
a
I
cool
think-
like poster and somebody steals it because they want to hang it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I mean is like the best outcome at this point. But it is like an intimate sort of thing,
Right.
in a way that the social one-to-one isn't, maybe.
No, I get that. That's a very valid point because
Mhm.
you can, like, most things that aren't urgent you can do digitally.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't need
Yeah.
But if you want to put some thought into it, like weddings, like you said, or special
Yeah.
events, then you would go to a printmaker type person.
Yeah, and there is like a very real like commercial print existence that still is a thing that,
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
you know, like people like still want the you know, type set, the lead type set,
yep,
right?
yep.
Because it gets different looks and all that sort of thing. But I have this theory about, like, what do you want to call it, discarded media kind of just being exclusively for art.
Yep.
And like as we move through stuff, I remember discussions I had a long time ago with Risa Horowitz about, like, right now all of the, like, you remember when you used to like get rabbit ears for TV
Yep.
to get channels and stuff? Like all of that I think is unregulated now.
Okay.
Like no one cares, so that airspace is just, and it's just frequencies, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, in like the 70s and 80s, you could get like a, you know, like a pirate radio or cable station,
Mm-hmm.
and people get mad, right? Because it's a regulated thing, and like,
Yeah.
no, you can't just have your own channel 7.
Right. And now
But
it just
now-
doesn't matter. There's no competition in it.
But
Yeah.
like, think of the freedom of that, and like, does anyone care? Could we blast like could there be like a local thing that's like, oh, we're gonna put our concert out on TV, and
Right.
anyone with rabbit ears can tune into it if you still have them? And I don't think anyone's gonna care. You know, like, you'd have to get this old antiquated equipment to do it.
Actually, that'd be pretty cool if you did it where
It'd
it
be
was like,
nuts.
if you did it where, say you're a band and you
Yeah.
you have it upcoming, and so you do a few local shows and you give away rabbit ears at your show. Like, we
Right.
have a special show coming up,
Yeah.
and it's only if you can catch the frequency, and give them like a little card, and then for the time and stuff, and give them rabbit ears, and then they have to figure it out.
Right. But it like it becomes this, like, I don't know, this is like a labor of love. A lot of people like throw nostalgia into that whole mix. But like these things you get discarded, and then like it's kind of a thing that is just for that bit of expression now, right? Like it's like
Yeah.
its usefulness is done, right? It's like, why do you keep, like, why is painting never died out? You know, you can do it quicker, faster, better, right?
Yeah, it's a weird, man. That's a good question, because you're talking about like I just keep referring it to like the death of the piece itself. You know,
Yeah.
Paintings can last a long ass time, and
Mhm.
it's like, I was just gonna try and make a point of like, well, because you know that eventually it'll die out, that it's important, but it's like paintings can last freaking forever.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not, so that doesn't really play into it. So it is a weird thing to have like something that can die out so quickly, like prints, you know, and
Yeah.
especially outdoor ones.
Yeah. Well, but, and then, you know, you get into like art prints as well, like another totally valid medium of the whole art world. And like those two, like you buy one, you be around forever, right? Like framed, that whole deal.
Yeah,
That's what
exactly.
framing's about, right? It's about preservation.
Preservation, yeah. Not so much presentation, yeah.
But I don't know. I have been, as you've noticed, just getting back into the camera thing again. Yep. And I'm gonna lay down the line right here that London Drugs is too expensive to get your film developed.
Yeah, they're too expensive in pretty much every way.
Steven, it is almost $60 for me to get a roll of black and white film developed and scanned.
$60?
Yes, and it takes like 3 weeks.
What?
Yes, it was crazy. I was
Where's Robin Williams in his 1 hour photo now?
I don't know. And that's what I told the lanky kid. It's like the last time I did this, it took like an hour. Like, fun fact, color is still like $25. It's crazy.
It's just nobody does the black and white anymore.
Yeah. And
or at least not develop it.
Yeah. And they were like, there's this whole thing about like, well, there's extra steps involved. And I'm like, wait a minute. No, there's not. There's less steps involved. What are you talking about? But anyway, yeah. A part of it is like, I think that's how I got engaged in art initially. Like that was like the first thing I learned. And like, I know the concepts really well and I can do it without really thinking about it too much. And like, there's a lot of stuff going on there. But the other thing is just that like, I kind of needed a reset, and
yes,
doing the still photo thing seemed like, I don't know, an area where I could just like not care about the results and like not play, but just like start capturing the things I wanted to capture more for me than the other stuff I was doing, which was like always meant for this business or this group of people.
Right.
So yeah.
No, I get it. It's less about the actual content of it, and it's more about like the composition of it.
Maybe, or the act of,
the practice of it. I like to think of it as like, it's the word practice is such a weird thing. A lot of people think of it as, oh, I practice guitar because there's an end goal. Like it's like a step on the way to somewhere. And it's like, no, I think of practice like with art is more of like meditation practice, or like a Buddhist practice. It's something that is lifelong, and it's more of like a vocation. It's not, it's like, I am doing my practice. I'm not practicing. I am doing my practice.
Yes. And it's the whole thing of like, my wife gets on me from time to time about it, because there are times where I just don't make anything for a while. Not for me or for anybody. Like I just get busy with whatever. And I will start to get irritable.
Right.
Because I haven't had like the break to do a thing, like I haven't like, it's like the whole like listening to a record thing, right?
Yep.
Because like the reason that records exist is so that you put it on and listen to the record, right? Like you assign the time to that activity ideally, and then let it run its course. Yeah,
exactly.
And like that's the thing that I've been missing. Like that's the thing I haven't done that I probably need to do to remain healthy. Like
no, I totally agree. It's creativity is such a flow of things, is that when you're not doing it, you stop the flow, and then you get the backup of the energy that you're used to having. It's like if you're used to going like for walks every day, and then you have a couple days that you don't have a walk, your body still has that energy and has prepared itself for that. But if you're not doing it, then it just gets frustrated because there's nowhere to put it. And then it's like everything becomes agitated because there's extra energy there. And like I feel that with painting, because I don't feel as much anymore. Like, but when I was painting every single day for like years, it was when I would stop for like 3 days, I would just go crazy. I'm like, no, I have to paint. I have to do something. And now it's not so much. I took longer breaks, and now I'm like kind of freed myself from that. which is fine. Someday I'll get back into that, but I need to reset, as you say.
Well, and it's a very luxurious thing to like, I'm just going to take an hour a day to like go take photos and develop them and do whatever, and like realistically, that's not a thing. Maybe it's a thing I can do now, maybe not, but I'm certainly closer than I was.
Like, as your daughter gets older, I'm sure it'll become more. Maybe she'll even be interested and want to join you in doing it.
Yeah, no, she's definitely like into cameras and stuff. I did the One Take Super 8 this year, which you made the music for.
Yeah.
So I'm stoked to see how that. I still I don't get to see it until it premieres. So
I know, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna be wild. I don't even know if I lit it enough. Like,
it could just be complete darkness with that music going, and just complete darkness.
It totally could be. And my last go around, I like kind of got my brother to like help me out on it, and we hadn't like made a film for decades, 2 decades, I don't know, because we always helped each other out with stuff, and it was weird because it was like just him and I, and like just like if he's got the camera, I'm acting, like that's it. Like there's nobody else to help do this for the Super 8 thing. And this year I kind of like didn't have any help. So my main character is a corn pop.
Yeah.
And I like figured it out. And I even like ran out of hands because I'd be like lighting it as I'm filming it and like holding the thing. But,
man, you should have seen me. I wish I could have had an extra camera to film me filming that puppet video I did for Santa.
Oh, yeah.
Because the things I had to do to be able to get some of those shots, you wouldn't think you would need to do them. But I was like, oh my God, there is only one way to do this. And it's just like, it's like 8. It's like, oh man, it was like 11:30 at night. I'm in my bedroom trying to turn the lights on and off at the same time as holding a camera and fixing the puppet. And just like,
can I tape this to my foot to get the shot?
Yeah.
Like, can I do that? But a thing I learned in school while I was like, because we were making stuff and we were all busy, and I realize now we had a big crew of people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like sometimes we'd have 6 people, and I think about how many that is now, and like getting 6 people
100%.
out for 8 hours, like
impossible.
That's incredible.
Unless you're paying them, it's impossible.
Yeah, like there's no way. And I realized in school that like I have this rule about myself being the most reliable. Yes. And like that's not a slight against other people, but that's
I have the same rule, man.
But it's the fact that like when I'm ready, I'm there. Right? Like
yes,
like,
exactly.
Like, I don't have to wait on anyone else's logistics or anything. And it's just sort of like not dealing with working with others, which I really like to do. You're very high on that list of people who I like to work with. But like the amount of hurdles we have to go over to even have any time to do a thing is insane.
Well, I was doing those Gallardist videos with people like a year or so ago, and at first it was okay because it was very simple, and then it started to grow and more people wanted to be involved, and then it was like, but most people didn't have the time to be involved in all like the technical part of it, right? And so it was just like, okay, now we got more people. Now I have to be more aware of lighting. Now I have to be more aware of sound. And now I have to be more aware of all this stuff. But when it's like 1 or 2 people in a shot or something, it's not so bad. But when you got like 7 or 8 people to deal with, and then editing and all of that to try and make it make sense, and you want everybody to feel involved. And then I just became overwhelmed. I was just like, because I had the technical know-how and I was working with people that, were great and it was fun, but they didn't go to film school. They didn't, they didn't have their hands in film editing and all of the sound and everything like that. So it was like, oh wow, what did I get myself into? And then, but like as you're saying, you're ready to do it on your own. And I kind of felt like I was in that position because of school and working with you and Eric, not Matt. Matt was always the laziest, but I hope he listens to this and he just hears how much we berate him. But yeah, it's like, I think that's why we work so well together, and I think that's why we like working together, because we're both of that mindset, and Eric as well, is that when you have 3 people who come together, you can drag that fourth person along easily.
Mhm. Well, it's, I mean, we drag Matt, of course. That was
Oh,
the whole,
100%.
but I think as well, like it comes down to, and this is a very sort of film centric way of thinking about the whole making thing. But like when you're in school, everyone makes this agreement that, like, okay, let's give this institution all of our money. So we're all
Yeah.
broke.
Yes.
And then we'll all agree and like make a commitment that we're going to do this stuff. Right.
Yes.
Like that's the, and then after school, like there are a few times where I've hired some people to help me do some stuff. And I realized like how important that pay is, right?
Yep.
Like it's such an important thing about like making time valid. And in film, it's a no-brainer.
Well,
Like
that's
it's
why there's
just,
unions for it. They're like some of the
that's,
strongest unions in
yeah,
any industry.
absolutely. But you know, it's like the whole thing of like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get this guy to help me film some stuff for a day. This is a fair rate. Like, you know, if he was working in the industry, this would be kind of where we're at, and that's
Yep.
what I'll pay him. He'll do a good job, and I can rely on him. Versus you, like, in a gallery asking people to help you hang something for a day, and like, you know, or you responding to a friend who's doing that, and like,
Right.
it's a lot less like financially driven, and maybe more like, I'll help you if you can help me out during this thing. You know, like it becomes weird to talk about money sometimes,
Yes.
especially like in the low level.
Right, because there's not much to talk
There's
about.
not much of it.
Yeah.
But it is the great legitimizer, you know, like it
Yeah.
does become this thing of like, you know, like I don't have a ton, but here's $50. Like, oh man, like this was a job, you know, like I now realize that like
Yeah.
my effort is like being poured into this thing in a particular way. And that's what's kind of alluring about like getting a creative job,
Yes.
is that you're like, oh sweet, like I have all these skills that they want for teaching or creating stuff or whatever it is. And you're like, this is the perfect fit because now I get to hone those skills
Mhm.
and do that whole thing. And then you realize you're like selling yourself.
Yeah.
And it's not that it's like bad, it just is very monotonous.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Right?
And
Like
it
that's,
sucks.
you know,
It sucks.
and you know, it's like, okay, am I going to surround myself by people who are engaged in this process and like want to learn about it and want to do it and are enthusiastic? And like 20% of them are,
Yes.
you know, and like those interactions are amazing. Like
Mhm.
it's such a great thing. And then, you know, at least in my particular case now, I don't know, 40% of them seem like they would rather just not be there. And I
Yep.
don't know why they're there.
Oh man, I like even playing music, man. I remember never so much in my bands, because I wouldn't really put up with that. I wouldn't be in a
Mhm.
band if they weren't enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Uh, but I remember playing alongside other bands, like not a whole lot, but there was a one or two here and there that were like, oh yeah, whatever. They show up late and they're just like, it's just a local
Mhm.
show and they only got like 4 people to even bother coming out, and they, you know, they didn't really care about anything. And I'm like, are you kidding me? We get to do the thing we love to do.
Yeah, like this is it. Like this is the
This
thing.
is the big time.
Yeah.
This is the big time. If you can't make this show the best show ever, you will never make anything
Mhm.
more than this.
Yeah, like you've got to, people talk about like you have to want it. And like I don't think that's true, because I think a lot of people want it. A lot.
Yes, a lot of
Like
people.
like they want, a lot of people want it very much. Is what
It's
I think.
it's like that Jack Handy quote. It's like, you know, I just love sitting there and thinking about having lots of money, and I think that's my favorite part about it. Just sitting there wanting that money. You know, it's that kind of attitude. Like they really want it, but they're
Mhm.
not going to do anything about it.
That's what it is.
Yeah. But yes,
But
go on.
well, it's just the whole thing like numbs you, and then eventually you realize like, okay, I have to like get this thing I love away from money as
Yes.
good as I can, and like maybe I'm just gonna go like turn a crank in this office building for money.
Right.
and then after I'll do the thing I like. And then you're exhausted because we're
Yes.
35, and you know, like,
exactly.
like
Speak for yourself. I'm 33 in 2 weeks.
Okay,
Or a week.
I didn't realize.
A week or so.
I'm just 33. I thought you were older than me.
No, I've just seen a lot. I've just seen a lot.
Being an artist out there has really worn you down, Steve.
It really has. It really has. Because it is funny because I'm the youngest out of all of us.
I didn't know it.
Yeah, I'm younger than Matt. I'm younger than you. I'm younger than Eric. I'm younger than Luke. I'm younger than Chris and James, of course, because you're younger than James.
Yeah, no, that's that time works. But
yeah, I was always the youngest one out of all of us. I started university when I was 17.
Oh, did you? I think, did I do that? Or was I 18? Would have been 18. Yeah. I remember my birthday's in May, and everyone was like, you can't drink your first year. Like, that was like the thing. But
Right.
For whatever reason, like, I just, like, that's my zero for time. Like,
Right.
like I can remember that and then figure out how old I was whenever
Somebody told you
moment. Like, just like my roommate McConkey, like, oh, you're so unlucky. I'm like that, whatever.
That
for
moment
whatever reason.
is a turning point in your life.
Well, it's just the thing I remember. I don't know. It's there are things, Stephen, that have stuck with me that like I can't get rid of. Perfect example. I don't know where I was. I don't know how old I was. I was with my mom and brother, and we were out at like a Smitty's, you know, like a dinery place. I don't think we were in our home city, but I could be wrong. And I was sitting with my family, and my mom was getting mad at me because I was watching this other booth, and it was this son and his mom, and he was like 15 or 16.
Okay.
And the waitress said to the son, "Do you want soup or salad?" And he looked at her like he didn't like, what are you talking about? And then he figured out what she asked, and he said, "Oh, I thought you meant like super salad."
Yeah, super salad.
I thought that was the funniest thing. And my mom was telling me to like not laugh, like do not react to this. It's very inappropriate to just watch people and like do this thing. And and like that was 25 years ago, Stephen. And I still think about that twice a week for whatever reason.
Oh man, I was just like 10 minutes before I signed on here. I was looking at famous people who made their start on Star Search. And because I don't know why I came up. I was watching like Jiminy Glick stuff, and he was talking about Star Search, and I'm like, Star Search. And so many people were on Star Search, and one of the lists, to get to the point here, was like, one of the lists was like 37 years ago, Brad Garrett was on Star Search. And it's like 37 years ago. I'm turning 33. Like, no, that's not even that long ago. God.
Gosh. Yeah, like what's gonna happen when we're 40? Like, is this gonna be okay?
Oh, we won't make it.
I've got to make it.
Okay, no, you'll make it.
Yeah, but
I will not.
Am I allowed to be in this basement still, looking the way it does, or do I have to like paint? Like,
no, you will have to be in the basement because the above ground will be unlivable.
Oh, that's a fair point. Yeah.
The world will be in shambles.
Corona will have coalesced into like a half frog, half tentacle monster that prowls the streets, and I'll have to, etch my makings of art onto some sort of cement with charcoal. Like,
no, you know what it is? People get worried about, we should be worried about climate change because it's going to be horrible. Mm-hmm. But they should be more worried that it's happening slowly because we're going to adapt to it without trying to stop it. We're going to adapt to it, and it's just going to happen. And that's the real horror of it. It's going to happen slowly, and it'll be like, that's why you see all of the movies. It's like humans survive the apocalypse because we adapt so well over time. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it will not be a good existence, but we'll still be here.
Yeah, we'll be fine. This is going to be okay. Well, yeah, what happened? Oh, some parts of the world flooded, I guess. Like
Aliens were
it's
dropping
crazy.
DNA bombs and everybody was melting from the inside out. Well, we got underground and we protected ourselves.
Yeah, the aliens thought that Ford F-150s were the dominant being on the planet.
Because there was so many of them.
And
They were so
they
loud.
yeah, so they thought they'd help out and try and kill the parasites. So a lot of stuff happened.
Yeah.
A lot of crazy stuff happened.
Oh, man. This is going to go way back to earlier in the podcast here.
Yeah, good.
But
That's
I
awesome.
wrote it down and I just saw it again. What about, here's an idea for a podcast.
Okay.
Because we were talking about wedding invitations and that. I was like, what if you did a wedding podcast where people just got married on your podcast?
I mean, you could.
Like you just are a minister, and instead of them going to Vegas to elope,
you just jump on the stream.
You just jump on the stream, and I'll marry you right on the stream, and kind of interview them beforehand, get to know them, and be like, okay, this is what we are, and then bada bing, bada boom, you're married.
It's like the ultimate catfish. Like
and you can have like a random like celebrity person come on, be the witness on a different part of the stream, and just like zoom in.
Honestly, Steven,
that would probably be like pretty popular.
That's a Netflix show right there. Like that, like they're on it. Like that's perfect. They would buy that in a heartbeat.
Maybe we should just pitch these to
Netflix
or wherever. Yeah. I don't even care.
I mean, else do it. Honestly, it does kind of seem like 1 in 10 will just sort of stick, and you're like, you know what, you get 4 episodes. Give it a go.
Wow, what was it? There was an interview by the CEO of Netflix. I forget his name, because it was like 4 years ago or something. I read this, and he was like, he said the reason there's so many like mediocre and bad shows on Netflix, and he was just pretty open about this. He's like, because 1 in 20 is a hit, and that one pays more than all 20 of all 19 failures put together. So he's like, it doesn't even matter. We'll just throw everything out there.
Yeah.
He's like, just buy it all up, put it all on there. You have tons and tons of content. Even if it sucks, you just need one out of every 20 to be a hit, and boom, you're set. And if you get something like Tiger King, or you get something like, what else was a big hit recently on there? American Vandal.
Yeah, well, but the thing that's happening is like now that's like literally the model, because there was that sweet time where it was kind of basically just Netflix, like, let's get really inventive and put out whatever we can find, right? And now there's like, it's the Mark Maron joke where like someone tells you that, oh, you watch what's the show Clomper? You watching Clomper? No. And it's like you don't even know what streaming service it's on.
No,
you're like,
not a clue.
What is that? No, it's a turd burglar on Clomper. Is that what he calls it? But it is the whole, like, oh, did you watch this yet? What is it on? Like what? No.
Yeah, no idea.
Like it's, and it's kind of like it's funny how it's come full circle, especially with the TV, because it is like well, I don't know. When you were young, did you watch TV all the time?
Yep.
Yeah, like it was constant. I watch a lot less now.
Yeah, same.
But what I watch, I want to watch. Like there's no like throwing it on. The kid watches stuff, so there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, just
like
whatever.
It's like it's on, but it's not.
My family still watches it that way though. They'll put on Netflix, or they'll put on like Roku and stuff, and they'll have like channels on there.
Yeah,
they'll watch that. Like they'll put that on, and I think it's because they're just older. Like my mom is kind of like that.
Just like that.
Yeah, it's just a different kind of pace of watching TV, where it's like you don't have to fully pay attention to it. It's just kind of like having the radio on,
Right.
But I think I can't watch TV like that. I love movies so much, or shows so much. I have to, it's like a ritual for me. It's like a religious practice almost when I watch movies. Like I started watching The Expanse, and holy shnikes.
Yeah.
it's like I get into a good chair. As soon like I first put it on, I'm just kind of like, oh, I'll try it out. In the first 20 minutes, I was like, oh my God. So get up, I pause it, I get up, turn off the lights, get whatever food I'm going to have, and then I get comfy, and then I'm like, I'm watching this show, and I watched the entire first season in one night. No, it's just
my God.
But like, that's how I watch TV. I put the phone aside. I don't even open my phone. I have no idea. People could be like burning alive and trying to get a hold of me. I wouldn't be like, sorry, I am busy watching TV.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. I'm gonna rein this back in just because you made an interesting point. It is crazy how, as like, I don't even know if I want to call myself a creative person. Like, I don't even know if that's the right descriptor.
No, but I think you are. Yeah.
Well, but it is crazy how jazzed you get as a maker of things.
Yeah.
When like something hits you right, and you're just like, oh man, like you're so into it, and then like it inspires you to like do whatever stuff you're up to.
Yes.
Because it just like hit, like, I don't know, like resonates with you in that way, and then you're sort of off. There's this, I can't remember his name, but when I was like, this was like years and years ago, but I was trying to read Dune, and I eventually did finish, and it was like this big like multi-year attempt where I kept having to start over, and like it just like it was this whole thing. Anyway, I was like in it trying to read it and figure it out, and I can't remember how I found it, but there was this dude who did these concept drawings for Dune characters of a cartoon.
Okay.
And they're awesome. Like they're so cool, and it's like kind of like a Disney thing almost.
Okay, but Dune.
Yeah, but like it was just like, oh, like it was a dude like literally on social, like, oh, if I was gonna make a Dune cartoon, this is what they would look like. That was it. And I was like, it just got me going like so hard to like, well, it was hard, but it's just like, but I like wanted to make stuff and like not related to Dune or anything, right? Like it just like got that engine like up and running.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's crazy.
I think we call it inspiration.
Maybe, I don't know. For inspiration doesn't have to like be tied to the thing you're.
No,
I've been inspired before, where like someone says something, you're like, "Oh crap, that's a thing."
I think inspiration for me, I think of it more of like a spark. It could be anything. It could literally just be you open the fridge and something happens, and you're like, "Oh, there it is," and then you're, it usually happens to me when I pee.
Really?
It would be like if I'm stuck on something, and I just go to the washroom. By the end of that washroom visit, I will know exactly what I need to do.
Really? Wow,
yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
Do you ever? This is an aside. Do you ever have to drink to like make that process happen? Like you're just chugging water to like
energy
get
drinks,
enough
but
to
yes. Yeah, actually, I think that's part of it. I think it's because when I'm in like painting, for example, when I'm painting and I'm really in it, I don't stop for anything, even to go to the washroom. So I think it's more of like my body is mentally blocking me by physically blocking me. And then once I get rid of the physical block, I am back to not being mentally blocked. It's this weird physiological mental tie between the processes. And I think, and like you're saying, you don't want to call yourself a creative person, but I get that because I don't either. I think it's creativity is a thing, and you can do that thing sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like, I am not music, but I know that I can play music. It's like if I bust out the guitar and I followed some steps, I can now be a part of music as it's going, and creativity and all of that.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. And now like I'm now like very much in like teaching people every day to be creative and to be creative problem solvers.
Yeah.
There's things I like about it. Like it's very blatant that it's like to get a job in this field. Like it's very much about what I'm doing. But it is this thing where it's just like, oh, like I have said something and someone in this room is like into that thing, and like they keep like I can see them start working. Like I can see, and I don't know. That's why I'm not sure if it's inspiration or if it's like, well, maybe
clarity.
or it's just like, oh, like I've seen someone figure a thing out and then start to do it,
Yes,
and
yes,
like
yes, yes.
get the ball rolling, you know.
Yeah, it's like especially with teaching, you see it a lot more. Like who was I listening to the other day? Um, I can't remember, but it was a different podcast. I think it was maybe it was like Rupert Spira or something. You know who Rupert Spira is? He's like a non-dualist teacher. Anyway, I was talking about education and how people learn, and even amongst like the academia, it's like you can't really learn from another person. It's like there's not really much you can. It's like information can be presented, but it's like the person themselves is the teacher of themselves.
Yeah.
And so it's like having the right information put in front of you at the right time is like, then they piece it together. It doesn't even matter. You could have said it completely wrong, but it might have sparked something that allowed them to understand.
And like, as a person who's taught a lot of people, just like both of us are in that boat. Yeah. It is like you start to realize like, oh, I don't need to like teach you.
No,
I need to create an environment with the stuff around you, and hopefully something in that will get you to figure it out.
Yes.
Right.
And,
like,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And I am now teaching at a technical school, and there's days where I have to like a lecture and I just talk, and then at the end of it, it's like, and we're done. Thanks for coming in today. You know, like, And then there's days where like, I'm doing a user experience design class right now. And like, I'm like, okay, here's the thing in how you make like a prototype, right? And I'll like run through how the thing works. And just from those two different things, like I will have like 50% more engagement because I am doing a thing, right? Like purely out of that. And the thing that I'm kind of exploring now is, my students would be mad if I brought this up, but I'm not going to not talk about it. Yeah.
That's the whole point of being a student. Your teacher makes you mad.
There you go. I don't know how this thing happened, but like Giga Chad is a big theme in my teaching now. And
I know exactly what you're talking about. Giga Chad. Yeah.
Anyway, it like always comes up, and people like always like add it in, and like it wasn't me, it was my students totally. But we're in another class where we're making fonts, like in Illustrator, like literally making them for, and I was like, oh, like I should do this process. Like I should just run through it in case they like see something or whatever. They can be there working, right? But like I'll just do it. Like I'll just be working with them, kind of thing. And so I made the Giga font, and it was like it's all based on having like I think the thing I wrote was it's got a strong chin and not a lot going on up top. So like the bottom of the letters are super big, but the top is really thin.
Yeah.
It's really tiny. Like it's really, and like from a technical standpoint, they like got to see me like make a thing, right? Like they just got to like, and they learned some stuff through that, like through that whole thing. But the conversations we were having were ridiculous about like why I was making decisions about a GigaChad font. And like, that's the environment where they're learning. And it's not about like you watch someone, you do a technical thing, you understand what it is.
Exactly.
And you like maybe remember it.
That is like guitar teaching 101.
That's told me, Steven.
Oh man. Well, because you have way more options when you're guitar teaching, because you don't do classes. Like you can do classes, but it's one-on-one. And even in one-on-one, I still felt limited because it was like parents are expecting a certain way because the movies and culture, right? Like they think of their student being taught in a certain way. So it would be a little weird for them if their student come out and is like, well, the guitar teacher just sat there and played in front of me for half an hour, right? But that is the best way to learn. It's like to not even say anything and just sit there and play for half an hour. Their brain, even if they didn't understand it like logically or rationally, their brain would see all the technical movements because their eyes and their brain is processing it much faster than their thoughts are, right? And so they'd see it and then it would just become ingrained in them to do it. That's why pretty much the common thing with all good musicians is that they were around musicians.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't get taught by them. They had to be around them, and they'd try to ask questions and it'd be like, shut up and play. Mm-hmm. And that's how you get better.
When I was young, my mom took my brother and I to music lessons, and it was like 90 minutes at this dude's apartment. And for 45, he would teach my brother guitar, and then for 45, he would teach me piano.
Yep.
And I think it was kind of a thing that like my brother wanted to learn guitar, and then like he had a piano and I could just like go learn it. Okay. And I think by the end of it, my brother was learning guitar for 90 minutes and I was watching TV in this guy's.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can see that.
But I was also just like really not into the piano thing. But the piano thing, he had like books and like labeled keys. And it was like, you're going to learn to play Mary Had a Little Lamb. And I was like, okay. You know, like I was just pushing the.
So you learned coding basically.
Sort of. But then for my brother, he would like their first conversation was like, what kind of music do you want to play? Like, what do you like? You know, like, what are you into? And then my brother came back with some stuff and it's like, okay, well, let's learn that. And like, it's a very different thing to be like, oh, here's how you play this thing. And here's the book and like all the information. And if you do this, you'll play this thing versus like engaging someone in an art to get
it's an experiential skill. And to read, it's like you can't get good at surfing by reading it in a book.
Yeah. Oh no, I didn't read about, like I meant like music books, like with the
I know, that's what I mean. I treat it the same way though. It's like
fair enough.
It's like if you're gonna play music, you got to get out on that board and ride. Like that, you know, that's the whole point. It's like you can't just read a book about skateboarding. You have to go skateboard. You have to fall. You have to go and do it.
But that's the practice, right?
Exactly.
Not practice. Yeah.
Exactly. You become a practicer of that religion. There you go. Thank you. Sometimes I'm just an idiot. I spend too much time doing the practitioning. And then I forget words. I'm not so much a writer.
So much of a practitioner.
I work in more visual and tangible.
Tangible.
No, with touch.
Well, maybe. Yeah.
Audio. Well, I consider music physical.
Mm-hmm.
Like a very
because I can see why. I
because it literally is a physical thing that's happening in your ears when music, like vibrations. So if you pluck a string on a guitar, those vibrations are physically affecting people.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not, you might not see it, but those sound waves are literally physically touching people. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why music has such a power over people. And you're holding a lot of power over people because you play certain notes together, like something that sounds really bad, you're going to make a lot of people sick. You know, they're going to feel physically ill.
I have long said that if I like when I was like working with 3D and stuff, which I still kind of want to explore, but maybe not in the same way I was. But I have always said that if I can make someone physically vomit from something I've made, like that,
you've succeeded, yeah.
But like that, like I cannot think of a bigger human reaction to something, like to literally, like actually make someone expel their stomach.
Yeah,
and like maybe that's a negative. I don't know, but like I cannot think of any larger token of human interaction than causing someone to vomit.
And I think if you're gonna do it too, you gotta do it in a very, what's the subtlest way you can do it. Right? Because I know, like, you ever heard of G.G. Allen?
Maybe.
He was this, if you can call him a musician, he was like a punk rock kind of musician guy, but he would like literally take a dump on stage and like cut himself and bleed.
Yeah, I'm looking at some images right now.
Yeah, he was a maniac. Like he would literally hold it in, so when he got on stage, he could literally defecate on the stage and just like smear it around. Like that was his whole thing. He was like this shock kind of guy, and a complete insane, like just insanity. And it's like, so yeah, he's going to get those kinds of reactions.
Right.
But it's like, can you find those things that cause people to vomit? Like for me, and a lot of people who have like gag reflex going to the dentist, is like they could just be like, okay, say and I'm already feeling like I gotta puke as soon as that happens. I'm like
already putting all your energy into not doing that. But
right.
It was the whole thing, because I remember like I was making like 3D prints and stuff, and it really was more successful digitally. But like people would be like, oh, this is cool, my head hurts, like you've done something wrong in the spacing and it's actually giving me a headache.
Right.
And I remember just being like, thank you, like, wow,
right, I should remember this.
You're like, dang, that's awesome. But yeah, no, the vomiting, like that's the pinnacle of, and like it's kind of like the brown note thing, where like you don't want to be like overt in doing it.
Right, exactly.
But that's still like, yeah, it's like, yeah, you don't want to like just like cut yourself and make someone vomit. Like that's not, that'd be cool, but not like what we're talking about.
Yeah, no, exactly. We're on the same page here.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you want to do it where it's like they wouldn't expect to.
Yeah, like, and that would be, like
a surprise puke.
I'm just watching what I believe to be a documentary about Mount Fuji. And then at some point, I just horked, but so did everyone in the theater. Man, like, think about how incredible that would be.
If you spew, I'm gonna blow chunks. But like, I all I can think of is like installation art, where it's just like a tongue that's being outstretched, not even a face, and then just a tongue depressant that's a little too far back on the tongue. Like if I saw that, I would start feeling like I'm gonna puke. Like something like that, where it's just like hinting at situations where that's where it's gonna be, or like even like falling forward, like that kind of feeling. It's like, whoa, oh god.
One time I was playing video games with a friend of the show, Matthew, and our mutual, Matt's friend David. I don't know. Anyway, he said like I can't remember what game we were playing, but his like guy jumped off a thing, and he was like, "Oh man, that actually made my stomach queasy." Like he believed it for a second, and he felt it.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, "Oh, that's I don't know if that's ever happened to me," but then it happened. It's happened like 10 times since then. And it's it's just like what did I get this idea and now I just want to believe? Like, is that what's is that what's happening?
maybe
because it's a crazy thing.
This is such a cool topic, and I think that it would be really cool to not just vomit. Like vomit would be good, but like if you could have it where your goal was to get all sorts of different reactions,
it would be amazing.
And be like, I think stressing people out would be fun. Like, and not with horror and not with anything, but like with the most benign things. Like, imagine you just had like an art gallery set up and they don't know the line is the art. And you just have the most annoying shit happening while they're waiting in line, and they don't realize that once they get to the end of the line where it says the art, like enter here, and that's just the outdoor, and they just walk outside and it's the parking lot, and it's just like the waiting in line is the thing, and you have like a loud annoying noises every once in a while that's really jarring, or somebody coming in and telling one random person that they get to move to the front of the line, and everybody else behind him gets like fucking pissed.
Or you plant people in there,
right
to like do annoying stuff on the way. Like he's been tying his shoe for 5 minutes and there's a gap in front of him.
Yeah, exactly. To stress everybody out.
But I also really like the idea of like you set up like a pottery collection, or you set it all up, square it all up very nice, and
then one's off.
One just a little
and you put it behind glass so nobody can get it and touch it.
Yeah, and like 1% of people will notice it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this seems okay. This is whatever. And one person's just like,
oh my God, the OCD person is just gonna go home and like bash their head against the wall.
Is that
or they'll just stand there and
justified?
scream.
is it right? Just, is that, but it's the thing that happens where like, it's kind of funny where like they put out a garbage can and people think it's the art,
Right.
like, because, oh, I'm in the place where there's art, so I'm going to expect to look at a thing that is art.
Right.
Like, and yeah, I don't know. It's become like a very awkward thing, especially with the like artification of our lives on social,
Yes.
and like, Bo Burnham said it best, where people are just presenting things all the time, endlessly, forever.
Mhm.
And like, that is living, is the act of presenting your life that may or may not be
Right.
true. Right. Like, but it's just funny now how like, like we're seeking out these genuine interactions that are negative just because it's more genuine than the other thing.
Man, you ever listen to Alan Watts?
Yeah.
Okay, Alan Watts always said that one thing. He's like, if you were to have the ability to dream for 75 years every night,
Yeah.
and anything you want,
Mhm.
how long would you go until you start throwing some weird shit in there? Right? Because if it was always good all the time, you'd just get bored.
Yeah.
And then
Well, and
eventually you'd just be like, I'm going to make it so bad, and then I'm going to forget that I'm in it.
Mm-hmm. And then you've dreamt your life, right? Like that's the
And
end
yeah,
of
it's
that
like,
cycle. It's like,
and here we are.
yeah, you get to where you're at. So
Yeah, I love that.
no, it's yeah, and no, I should make things to anchor people more.
I was also thinking experiential kind of things. You know how people can go and be like, especially with social media now, it's like you could just have a space and make money by renting out a space that looks like a fancy place, because people come in and take photos in there as if they're, on a private jet. Like you can just get like a little piece of a private jet and just have it in a warehouse, and people will pay to come in and just take photos as if they're flying on a private jet.
There are places now that like are I can't remember. I think I was looking about it. I think it's in Kelowna actually, and like
Probably. There's tons of that here.
Yeah, but it's like a place to go. I was trying to find a place to buy some film. It's a place to go and like film a little something for an hour at a time, and like they've got stuff there, I assume, and it's like
an amateur soundstage.
Yes, but like the fact that I think about it, I'm like, that's not the worst idea. Like that's like, I can see the need that's filling, and
was it the film
make
factory
that richer? Maybe, I don't know.
Because there's I know the guys that run the film factory here.
Yeah,
and,
probably. I was looking for film, so I mean, like that was.
Yeah, Film Factory. It's downtown, and yeah, they just have like a studio you can rent out, but they also have like cameras and everything.
Yeah.
And so they're like a on-call film crew. They do like corporate stuff, but you can also book them for whatever you want.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy.
And like it's a smart idea in terms of like enriching the okayish social content that's coming out.
Yes.
But it's also like I am continuously blown away at how like I like personally, like I am okay with the quality of a thing because of its content, because it doesn't matter anymore. And like the technology is to a point where like it's always going to be at worst okay, visually, sound, like it's all there. And I remember like learning in school, like, oh, here's the very narrow like thing you have to get to for this camera to look as good as it can.
Right.
And now it's just like, oh, I'll just mess with this lamp and you can see it, so it's fine,
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, but I mean, it's like, what year did YouTube get really good? When was that?
2004 was when it was starting to really kind of pick up.
So like,
but that was like
14. It got like,
yeah, it got really good at a certain point,
and like
it
people,
peaked.
people figured out like the technology. It became probably like affordable, and then people understood what the content needed to be for that bit of engagement.
Yes. And
I remember just thinking like, have you ever like looked at, like watched Casey Neistat videos and stuff? Have you ever?
I think so.
Yeah, you've probably seen something.
Probably.
But I remember before like I don't know, his life got complicated, and then I think he realized what he was doing to his friends and family with his like daily vlogging situation.
Right.
But at the minimum, like, this person like gets what he's doing, like fully understands
Yep.
where they're at, how to make it better, how to leverage it, like all of the ins and outs of it. And I think that time of YouTube is like probably gone. Like it'll change and it'll be a different
Yeah,
thing.
I'm sure there'll
But-
be a wave of something, a new kind of feel of that again, and in some way. Like it, I'm not, I don't like being one of those pessimistic people to think that the best is behind us. Because
no,
it's like,
yeah.
because that's what we thought before YouTube.
Yeah. And I
it's
don't
like,
yeah, no, I definitely don't think that. I do think like we are we are suffering from a different problem that hasn't been before, and this goes back to the whole Clomper situation, and that's like there's just so much stuff, like there's too much, there's literally no way to like get through it all, and then something happens where someone makes something super good at the right time, and it's Tiger King, you know, like that thing, that virality thing does happen.
well,
And
I think of it, time is of the past. It's like
Yeah.
time no longer matters. It's like just a couple months ago, I started listening to You Made It Weird, the Pete Holmes podcast.
Mhm.
And he has been making that podcast since like 2011. It's like, or 2010, 2011. So he has he's almost like 700 episodes in.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, 700 episodes of that plus 100 some episodes of a podcast that he does with his wife every Friday. And it's like, I didn't even know it existed until a couple months ago. But now I can go back and listen to the entirety of it
Yeah.
if I want to. And I've listened to a lot of it now. And it's like, it didn't matter when I heard it. I eventually heard it. So it's kind of like it doesn't even matter anymore. Just make as much content as possible, archive it in the right places where it can be found.
Mhm.
And then you just move on and keep creating. That's what I
Yeah.
do in this podcast. I'm like, I was thinking, it's like, oh man, I released one earlier yesterday and we're recording today, and I have another one booked to record on Monday. And it's like, oh man. And then I have a few other people who I have to still set times for. It's like, do I wait and try to do the one a week, or do I just start releasing them as I'm recording them? Because it's like, does it really matter when it comes out? If people are into it, they're into it, and they'll listen to it whenever it comes up. Or
Yeah.
it's like, oh no, it came out every Friday. That's what it's got to be every time. It's like, why? I was trying to like break this mental barrier in my head of the old way of doing things. But now with like instantaneous content like TikTok, which I cannot do because my brain cannot handle that. It's just like, but I can do this and be like, oh yeah, I could release like 2 episodes a week and be like, yeah, I think that would be all right.
Yeah. And a part of it is just like figuring out your life with the thing you wanted to do.
Yes.
You know, like I'm always just trying to like make time is not the right word, but like not be exhausted when I want to do something is maybe a more accurate version of what I'm trying to say.
Oh man, that's why I got the energy drinks going. I'm like, I am doing this.
Yes, Steven, you're not drinking it to go pee. Like it's the inspiration is just the caffeine working in your body.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's just like
That's just
right,
caffeine.
I can keep going.
Wait, you're telling me it's all just a chemical process?
It's all just a chemical process.
Well, fuck.
That's what it is. The other day, my child asked me what a soul was.
Oh yeah.
And like, okay.
Did you say Jamie Foxx?
I did not. But we're not religious folk, right?
No.
So I don't have that easy answer of like, oh, that's the version of you that goes to
Just get her into
FFU.
non-duality right off the bat.
Yeah, well, it's just, yeah, we came into this world dark and it's gonna stay dark.
We are one consciousness. There is no you, there is no me, there is only I.
And it's like, did you watch the new Rick and Morty? Where it's
No,
like,
I haven't seen it.
Oh yeah, we're all just players, and like we're all just a young boy playing a video game. It's like all these people in this world. Anyway,
Yeah.
I won't spoil it, but it's like, okay, how do I explain this to a kid? Like, okay,
Wait, you've been a parent for how long, and you haven't figured out that this is gonna eventually happen?
It's no, but like you don't prepare for it. But
I would.
like,
I'm already preparing for it.
but the closest analogy that I could come to explain to her was like, okay, in Men in Black, there's a tiny alien inside of a man, and he's driving that machine. And like, I think that was pretty good. Like, I think that was like, oh, that's the tiny man inside you who is actually you, who is driving the body that is your spaceship through this.
Just get her some Eckhart Tolle books, and just even on audio tape, and just, if we are aware of the present moment. And then your daughter's just gonna be walking around talking like that all the time.
It's perfect. Yeah, this is how people talk. What are you talking about?
I love Eckhart Tolle, but yeah, that's how I fall asleep.
Is it really?
Oh man, yeah. I either for the past it's got to be like the past 5-6 years. I've been listening to either Alan Watts, Terrence McKenna, Eckhart Tolle, more recently Rupert Spira, and these different kind of like philosophical, spiritual. Ram Dass, spiritual. Different kind of like from all sorts of different kind of viewpoints about life in the universe. And I just put that on. I listened to it, and it's like really interesting ideas and just like different concepts, and that's how I'll fall asleep, because it's like maybe it'll get stuck in my brain and I'll sound smart one day.
Well, it's definitely stuck in there, I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
But
well, it's really goopy up there. Everything kind of gets stuck in it.
It's like a spider web for everything, like it's just all up in there.
Yeah.
And every once in a while you'll root through something and find a water cooler or whatever concept of reality you want.
Well, it helps with like film ideas and stuff like that, because it's just, I feel like everything has just had this Christian taint on it. And I use that in all the ways it's intended, because it's just like, especially with movie making, I feel like it's just all been from this viewpoint of Catholicism and Christianity for so long. Like, even if it's not, even if it's atheist movies, it's still like the anti-Christian, so it still has that, like, so like a movie like Constantine is like, well, we're going to take this religious idea and we're going to mess with it, but it's still just Christianity. There's so many other things out there that have such cooler ways of thinking about stuff, and they haven't even started to make movies about that. Yeah. They haven't even touched on it.
Well, there's a lot of, like, my wife and I talk about it a lot, because like things are getting pretty boring. We're at the point now where it's like, oh, I'm just watching the best of stuff, or stuff I know I already like. Like, I'm like,
like I was watching the best of Geremy Lague.
There you go. That's the perfect example.
No, Geremy, why don't you just tell me a little bit about yourself? You say you were a printmaker?
That was a long time ago.
Ooh.
Jesus. You're good at that. That's good. I'm just like having a flashback to Jiminy with the high and low. Like, it just brought me right back.
You're just going to start up here and then you get real low.
I can't believe. Anyway. What were we talking about?
You and Ellen are getting bored about movies and stuff.
Oh, no, it's just me. Ellen's fun.
Oh.
But,
watching the best ofs.
Yeah, so like, all this stuff's coming out. I'm watching 0.01% of it. And like I'm having problems with like things being too safe, like it's just like, oh, we need this to make money, so we're gonna make it to make money, and it's just like, it's been 5 minutes, I know what's gonna happen. We don't even need to, we don't even need to do this. Like, it's fine. Like, we get it. It's over. And like, I'd watched like what's the new one called? There's the new Star Wars called Andor.
Yeah.
Have you watched it?
Not yet. Is it any?
They're taking some risks. It's very good.
Okay,
and it's like
cool.
still pretty safe.
Makes up for Kenobi.
Maybe. We got to
maybe.
stop doing this like in between thing.
I
And
hate it.
Elle and I were even talking about it. Like, there's no stakes in it.
Exactly.
Like
There's
there's just
no risk.
nothing. Yeah,
No
like
risk.
like how, what are you what are you gonna do? Kill him and clone him to make it happen? Like he's gonna be fine. Oh, is he gonna make it out of this one? Yes,
Right.
of course he is. Like, what do we, But we're at least at a point where it's like, oh, here's a guy from a movie we made that people kind of liked, and he wasn't the main character. So like we're still doing our thing, but maybe it's far enough away that it's okay.
Right.
And I think that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And they're doing a really good job of like anyone who is watching this, they assume you've seen other Star Wars. Like they're not even going to explain
Good.
stuff
Thank
anymore.
God. Thank
Yeah,
God.
like it's none of that, which I am thankful for. But it is the whole thing of like, oh, can I get into a specific gripe I have about stuff?
You can say whatever you want, man.
Yeah. So this is like a very dominant storytelling trope that I hate. And that is the whole thing of like where the main character doesn't know the world they're in, so they're an analog to you. And like on my podcast, spoiler alert, on 91.3 FMCJTR Regina Community Radio.
There you go. I can put links in the thing too.
My co-hosts are really frustrated with me because they're like, this is the way you get a person into a story. Like this is, like you make them sympathize with the reader who doesn't know about the world, and then they'll explain everything, or someone will explain it to them, and you'll learn it, and it'll be fine. And I have found that as a trend, good things or things I like have people who know their world.
Yes.
And like it's I'll figure out what the mystery device he's carrying is at the right time.
Right.
I don't need him to wake up without his memory to be able to identify with this human person, or animal, or like whatever.
Exactly.
But it is this weird thing of like, what, like, why do we have to keep doing this? Why is he explaining this to this guy who lives here?
It's this idea. I totally agree. And I think it's this holdover from the early days of filmmaking of your audience is dumb and that you need to handhold them throughout this movie. But the best movies, like you're saying, are the ones that don't do that. They're the ones that are like, no, my characters know exactly where they are. The audience has to use their brain to figure out what's going on.
And I think, like, to give a specific example to that for like Chris Nolan,
Memento.
Like if you look at which one, because he's got Tenet, which is like the anti whatever, or like Inception. So like Inception, he's got a character that doesn't know anything, so they can explain it to her, and like it's a valid tool. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just bored of it. Like I'm just exhausted of it. Yeah. And then you watch something like Tenet, where like nobody knows anything. The explanation.
I still don't. I watched it twice.
But it's better. Like it's confusing, and I think they're afraid of people getting confused. But just like the vomit thing or the uncomfortable thing.
Exactly. I was just going to say, it's the whole idea. I want to feel something. It doesn't have to be I feel good.
Yeah, like it just do whatever. Like any of these things are interesting. Like
nobody walked out of Schindler's List being like, I feel really good. And yet it won Oscars. It's like, but it should make you feel something.
Right, but you kind of do feel good because it's like, look at all the people he saved. Here's this moment of redemption. Like that's what it's building. Like all these awful things to this one good part. And like it's just sort of a boring thing. And that's also why like I'm kind of more interested in movies where like the couple's not heterosexual. Like I don't know anything about that experience.
Right, exactly.
I'm more interested in that. Like I want to see what that relationship is like, and then inevitably it's like just the same. Like like it's not like a
but even that's a learning experience though. Like if it is the same, I want to hear it from the people who are experiencing it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, okay. So I had certain thoughts about it. This is different than I thought. This is similar to what I thought. And it's like, that's good. That's what people need.
Yeah.
For growth.
And my theory alone, that I have not described orally until this very moment, but like, there's a lot of Bollywood like creeping up into Netflix.
Oh yeah, I know.
And these action movies are crazy.
Oh, they're insane.
Like
so good.
But like they're kind of janky and unpolished.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's it called? RRR is like the big one right now.
Right. Yeah.
And like the story's super confusing. It doesn't make a ton of sense. There's sequels and prequels that don't make a ton of sense.
I think it's because a lot of them are based off of old like religious stories and stuff.
Yeah.
From their culture, and it's like we have no context. If it was like Samson and Delilah, we would get it because we have a kind of an idea. But it's like their versions of that, right? Like,
but to take it and be like, oh, I'm just gonna Photoshop this car in and like spend 20 minutes doing this effect that looks terrible. It doesn't make any sense. But like it's conveying the story to me in a way that's fun, and that's it. That's all you need.
Oh man, have you ever watched like? It was not so much now because they're starting to get bigger, but Nigerian movies.
A few, but yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They were, because they didn't have access to equipment or anything like that. So they just had to make it whatever. So, and it felt like these adults were making grade 9 quality movies. But you still understood the story, and there was a lot of emotion in it, and you're just like, what is going on? And because of their cultural norms, stuff that you think is weird isn't even the weird part of the story that they're going by. Like the person will get pissed off at somebody for doing something. You're like, wait, why are they pissed off for that, but not for this? And it's just these social norms that you're just not aware of, and it makes the story way more interesting. You're like soap operas, like the Mexican telenovelas, which are hilarious and awesome.
Well, and they're doing so much more, right? Like they're exploring all of these different things, and like, oh, let's do a funny episode. That would never happen in North America. No. Like that's unheard of.
You know who's doing this amazing though? You've watched Nope, right?
No, not yet.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, I haven't. I'm a man with a child. I haven't made it to the.
Oh, well, when you get a chance, I won't ruin it for you. But Jordan Peele is exactly what you're looking for.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Jordan Peele knows it.
But that's even in his comedy, right? Yes. Like it's there, like it's in all of his work, And it's weird to watch like Taika Waititi kind of like go more commercial with stuff.
I know.
Right? Like, because it's slanting. And I think he'll correct. Like, I think he'll be like, this is my project, totally separate from all this stuff. And it's really fun and awesome.
He's really doing it for the money just so he can solidify his family's future.
Yeah.
And then I think once he reaches a certain point, he'll be like, screw it, I'm doing whatever.
But I think, like, his commercial work is still really, like, a lot. It's very good. It's like
he's funny, too. Like, he's really funny.
Have you heard, this is, like, another tangent. Have you heard of this, like, Pixar animation effect thing? Have you heard about this at all? So
no, I have not.
Like so I have a child. She watches all these animated movies, and they're all the same 3D animation. They're all the same.
Yeah, they've got their certain style.
Yeah, what are the studios? Pixar, and then there's the other one.
DreamWorks.
Yeah, like it's the same thing. It's 3D. It's what people like. It's what they're producing. Like that's it.
Yeah.
All the concept art for all of these movies is 2D, and it's incredible. And it all looks different, and it's all unique, and it all has nothing to do with the final product. And what's happening is that all of these animators are like making a thing, and then it gets Hollywoodified, and they 3D it into the thing that they think is safe and fun.
Yep.
But
the Disney machine.
Yes, in a lot of these, at the end of the movie, they animate their like first renders.
Yes,
and they're
like in the credits. Like in the credits,
and you're like, why haven't I been watching this for 2 hours? Like this is amazing. Like what? Why did we just do this? And they're they vary in huge amounts from thing to thing, and there's so much more interesting things going on. And it baffles me. Like they literally are making it.
Yeah,
roll
I
the
don't
credits,
understand.
you know, like
I don't understand why Disney thought they had to replace 2D rather than just you have your 3D movies, but you also have 2D movies.
yeah, I don't
Like 2D animation can feel incredible to watch.
know. Mm-hmm.
Like The Lion King, if you go back and you watch The Lion King or
Yeah.
you watch those golden age of Disney stuff, the animation was incredible. It didn't even matter that it wasn't 3D. It looked more real than
Yeah.
it.
And
Freaking,
yeah.
I know it pisses me off.
Well, and what do I show my students all the time? Peter Pan. There's some really cool stuff going on. Little Mermaid, of course. Like it's just like incredibly skilled people like executing a thing perfectly. You know,
Yes.
it's with all the money and technology supporting them, and now they could do it so much faster with so much less, and nobody wants it. Like, it's just crazy.
I know. I don't get it because you look at something like South Park and they got all the stuff to make it better and they refused.
Yeah.
and they're like, no, we'll just use computers to make it quicker, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And you can watch it and it's perfectly fine to watch it. And they're just like moving around, whatever.
That's
It doesn't
enough.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Beavis and Butthead. Beavis and Butthead is a great example. No matter what era Mike Judge puts that out, like the new one just came out. I've been watching clips from that, and it's freaking amazing.
Oh, nice.
It's well, it's a new movie. It's on one of the Clomper, I think. It's Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe, and oh my god,
I got to check it out.
The animation is the same. Like it feels a little newer, just because I think the quality of like the resolution is higher.
Yeah.
Right. But it's still the same drawings, you know, it's still Mike Judge doing the voices, and it is so fucking good.
Nice. No, that sounds awesome. But it's the whole rejected cartoons thing, right?
Yep. Don
where
Huxtable
like
or whatever.
Yeah, like you've got like, because my students, like I'll show it to my students and like, oh, here's a very funny animation that was done very quickly and is just as impactful as any of this other full-scale budget new stuff. And like, it's a dude talking about his anus and there's nothing in the background. And but like there's nothing going on. Like it's all the work is just focused on the thing you care about, and it works, right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't need all this other stuff. So
for thousands of years, humans were used to just hearing somebody talk about stories.
Yeah.
That was our entertainment for thousands and thousands of years. And for some reason in the past 30, they think they have to, oh no, we got to do it this certain way. We got to do it this certain way or people are going to freak out. It's like, you dumb nuts. You were doing it different every single movie in the 80s and 90s. And that's how you made your money. I don't understand what happened. The whole point of why you became Disney and powerful is because you were the progressive ones doing every single movie differently.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, yeah, Pixar came out. It's like, yeah, Toy Story was great because it was the only 3D movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was the new one thing, and like everyone just jumped on. And now like you got things like Spirit. Well, when did Spirited Away come out? That's too old of an example.
90s.
Yeah, was it that old?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy how old that is, and it's so good.
I'm googling, but I'm
pretty sure that one was the 90s. Maybe Nausicaa was 90s.
Maybe, but it still is like, I don't know, like it's not like there's no place for Spirited Away was 2001. Oh my god.
Okay, yeah.
It's still that's still crazy to me.
21 years ago.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Don't do that, Stephen. But it is the thing of like these things are still just as relevant. Like it doesn't matter that they're drawn. They're still like crazy, beautiful, and awesome. And you look at what was the big one that went real bad? Ghost in a Shell. I don't know if you've ever and a lot of people have like unpacked what's different between the drawn version and the live action one.
Yeah.
And it's just like, why would you need to think that this is better? Like, why are we even doing this? Like what's the point?
I can think you can sum it up in one little example here is like this painting of the elephant I have behind me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
is that the elephant in the room?
Yeah, but yeah, that is the elephant in the room. That is the joke I make every time too. But it's why wouldn't you just take a picture of an elephant?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a fucking painting. The whole point of it is because it's not a picture. The whole point is that it's not real.
Mm-hmm. But like it's you telling someone something, right?
Yeah,
Like that's the difference between it and a.
That's like saying everybody in Texas and New York shouldn't have accents. Because it's like, no, this word should be said without an accent like this all the time. And it's like, you're killing personality by doing it that way. And that's what Disney's doing.
Steve, what are you talking about? Gabagool?
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 Hey, keep walking. I got my Miller Lite and my coffee.
The old Gabagool.
The Gabagool. Let's have the Gabagool. I think that's a type of like salami or something. But,
it's capicola. Like capicola. That's the word they're saying.
Capicola.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's the word. That's it. That's capicola. It with that accent.
Gabagool.
Yeah.
Gabagool.
Isn't that my
Oh my god. That I've never heard it like that before. Yeah. But yeah, that totally makes sense. Gabagool.
Yeah.
They just are so with their everything.
Really goofy movie.
Disney's best movie is the top two are Goofy Movie and Emperor's New Groove.
Oh man, is that true? They're both very good.
Emperor's New Groove is so good. I just watched it the other night. It still holds up. It's so different and weird.
I like is Wreck-It Ralph Disney?
No, it was the first one that Pixar did. Oh no, it was Disney because it was Disney Animation. It was Disney's first one without Pixar.
Okay. It's very
That's
good.
what it was. Yeah.
Wreck-It
Ralph is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also
Inside Out was also fucking good.
Inside Out was okay. I have watched it 8,000 times.
Oh, that would
that might be. Yeah. But did you see the Inside Out 2 they're making? There's gonna be a Tron show.
I don't know.
But this is the thing, is that some of the Disney TV is getting pretty good, and I'm wondering if they're loosening their grip on
maybe.
Yeah, let's just let some people do some stuff. It
and
could be a really cool thing if they just say okay, don't say fuck, go.
Right. And you know what, Jeremy? This brings up a good point, and I have to give credit to Disney for this, as much as I hate saying that. Is that, like you were saying, you go back and you watch the best of stuff. Well, this new generation are really, I feel like the Gen Z people, all these kids, are very specific in their likes, and so it's they get we had emo kids in high school, but we were limited in our social media. If we would have had the social media now, you would be like, oh, I'm a cyberpunk /steam fucking emo, whatever. It's super specific today. So it's if you're into Tron, you're into everything Tron. You're into everything that is associated with Tron, lateral Tronness, right? And
that's a shallow pool, but
to expand it, maybe Star Wars, right? You get into Star Wars, it's okay, I'm gonna watch everything Star Wars because that's all I have time for. There's too much to be a broad jack of all trades when it comes to watching movies, like it used to be, where it's oh yeah, everybody watched Friends, everybody watched Frasier, everybody watched Just Shoot Me and Spin City and all of those shows because they were the only options we had.
Yeah. Well, and it was tied to time, right? It's very different now. And it's weird when you think about it because people are we had stuff that you could put in a machine that would play whenever you wanted and you could eject it and switch it out. But it isn't we don't approach it the same way, the whole watching cable thing. It's just not the same mechanism. And my kid is getting both bad sides of it because she really loves cable because it's constantly changing and there's a mini shows between the show, it's this different thing. versus like, oh, I'm just gonna watch Paw Patrol for 8 hours. I don't
God,
want
I
to
hate
watch Brit.
that.
But like she
Yeah,
can
but
just
I get
keep
it. Yeah,
going, like next, and
consumption.
well, that's that's
Consume,
the
consume.
the 5-year-old brain being let
Yeah.
loose on the Netflix. But
That's why if you can give her crazy concepts early, she's gonna be so smart.
maybe
Which she
we'll see.
already is. She already is.
Yeah.
What like
She's got this thing about tape, and like tape is the end all be all of
she's not
construction.
wrong.
But like she has been proven wrong as many times as right, and she'll still just like.
You need to find a red green show and show her
That's
red
what
green
someone
show
else just told me. Anyway, I got to. Yeah, it's perfect.
because she will love that.
She will definitely love that. I think my wife hates that show.
But if it means you don't have to buy her toys and it's just like a box on Christmas is full of duct tape,
She would love that. She's
like
already
just
there.
all different colors of duct tape.
Oh my
would
God!
be-
Yeah, we did have an incident with duct tape that kind of put her off of it. And it was she got it on her arm.
Oh yeah, and had to rip it off.
Well, we didn't have to rip it off because I have things that would like
Oh yeah,
wreck the like you know. But she was losing her mind, like she was freaking out because she thought that like it was gonna rip her skin off or
right.
you know.
You know
And,
what's
like,
great? Electrical tape.
Yeah, but then it doesn't like
It doesn't stick as well. Yeah,
I've given her like, and I also bought like a lot of Japanese like tape, like washi tape that's fancy.
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And it doesn't.
She
work
likes
good
Scotch
enough.
tape.
Yeah,
She's a Scotch tape
like,
girl.
Yeah, she's like, why would you give me this subpar?
It ain't
thing?
broke, don't fix it. she's very pragmatic as a tape user.
Honestly, yeah.
For a 5-4-year-old, 5-year-old.
Five, yeah. No,
Five-year-old.
she's very focused on like, no, this is the way it's supposed to be.
She's like, don't waste my time, Dad. I already
Oh,
have the
yeah.
tape I need.
we were talking about these two very rolls of tape right here.
Oh,
not
masking
a few
tape?
hours ago. No,
Painters?
maybe I don't know. It's something fancy.
That's painters
what it
tape.
is.
Frog tape.
Maybe I don't. This is like teacher tape, and this is Fisher Scientific tape.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, and it's got the number in the website right on the inside.
Nice.
Fisher Scientific.
Because I used to use tape as a medium when I was playing shows. I would do it on my guitars. I would use electrical tape because it was cheap and you get different colors and it would peel off real easy because I'd only need it for one show. And so I just do different like designs with electrical tape, and it's just really cool. It's a really interesting medium to use because the lines are already straight. You don't have to worry about being like, oh, I suck at making straight lines. I can just do it with this.
And I can't remember what artist it was, but they were talking about like the relationship of tape to paint and like how important it is to like make that straight line on the canvas, right? Like it's like you know, like a protector to like
100%. Yeah, you have to use tape a lot of times. Yeah,
and he was just saying like it's so crazy that like every painter uses it in such a critical way, and like it's not a brush, like it's not like everyone's like always talking about how important the brush is to paint and like
it's
all
like
this sort of
painting
stuff.
in negative. It's like negative paint.
Yeah, well, it's just like it's masking, right? Like it's very basic, like. If you talk to someone who's like painting a house, like it's the way you do everything, right? Like it's just the way it works. But like in terms of an art tool, it
really takes skill too. Like when I first started, I was like, oh yeah, I'll just use tape and I'll get those straight lines. And then you do it and you're like, oh no, there's a way to do this. Like it's not just, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this. It's like I had to watch videos of people like doing taping because it's like there's a specific art to the taping itself. And some people have made that their whole painting thing is that they use tape for every line. And it's incredible looking. Yeah. And it's just nuts.
For a while, I was doing the spray paint thing because there's like part of it was just like the speed of it. Right. Like it's like, like there wasn't like, you didn't have to like clean up the same way you had to do other stuff. Like you could just be done and walk away for an hour and come back or whatever. But I found like a bunch of things online of like people like, oh, just, paint your figure and then tape over it. And then you can do whatever you want and then rip the tape off.
Sure.
And you're like, oh, wow, that's a smart thing to do. So I started doing stuff where like slowly the entire, I don't even know if I have it anymore, the entire canvas would like become covered in tape as I like
Yeah.
mask off the next part and next
Right.
part, and it's just
Yeah.
like growing. And then when you're
Yeah.
done, you like rip off the whole thing and kind of see how it went.
Yeah.
But there's a really cool spray paint stencilist named Logan Hicks out of New
Logan
York.
Hicks.
Yeah, and definitely check out his work.
Yeah, I'll
really
write that
big,
down.
really intricate, and like he handles his stencils and spray paint in a painterly way.
Okay.
Like he never he will like apply like rules of shadow and paint and all these things within a stencil, and like
Oh my god, yeah, that's crazy.
Nuts. Yeah,
that
like,
is crazy.
He's incredibly talented, and like walls, you know, like huge pieces of art. And he's on Instagram. His Instagram is like very bare bones, and I really dig it a lot because it's clearly him. Like it's like he's just a 50-year-old man just like on Instagram.
Those are my favorite ones where where they're not playing the social media game. They're just putting whatever. It's like an archive.
And like, you know, he's secure in his existence as an artist. Like he's not like, I don't
he's
think
got nothing to prove.
It. Yeah, but it like he's there, you know. And anyway, like I remember like it's the whole thing of like, oh, I just do this, and it's like, oh my god, what? You know, like oh, he just tapes this part down and then does this, and that's what that looks like, and like anyone can do it, you know, like that's not the magic of the thing. It's the intention, like it's not the tool, it's the idea behind the tool,
the intention.
But that's the tape, man. That's the tape.
Yeah, that's the tape of the tape. As they say.
Every once in a while you figure out something cool, but tape it
up. Man, I will point out we are at this is the first time I've even looked. We're at an hour and 40 minutes.
I also noticed a little while ago.
Oh man, but, I don't want to take up all your time. I know,
we should probably, I don't know. Invite me for part 2. That's what we'll do. Is that, do you do that?
Oh yeah.
Do you do, okay.
In
6 months I'll come back.
No, you can do it sooner than that.
I'm just, you know what I'm saying.
I think it'd be fun to have both you and Matt come back.
Yeah, no,
at the same time.
We should debate something.
Yeah.
we should have a structure, and like a timer will go off and be like, Jeremy. like
I would think it'd be fun to do like quizzes and, you know, like lightning round questions and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that would be sweet.
Movie trivia and shit like that.
Absolutely.
I was also thinking of doing a lot, because this can do live broadcast too.
Yeah.
I think it would be fun to do a live one. And maybe make it more of like a game show kind of thing, and have people, because you can have the live chat going so people can talk on it, whoever's watching, maybe the 2 or 3 people who watch. But if anybody's made it to an hour and 40 right now, that's impressive.
Ooh,
actually, it'll probably be my mom. My mom. Yeah. My mom listens to all of these. And it's just
hey mom.
Yeah. I've just kind of like accepted that. Like, all right, I'm just gonna say whatever.
Yeah.
And I thought the last one, because I was saying some stuff in the last one. I'm like, oh yeah, my mom's gonna listen to this, and then she messaged me. She's like, oh, that was really good. And I'm like, okay, well then I don't know. I don't know. My mom is my strongest supporter, which I appreciate and cherish. But I once tried to do a Patreon thing. Yeah.
And I still have some ideas about Patreon, but I don't know how it would work. Anyway, but I like set it up the way you're supposed to set it up, and I didn't fully understand what was happening. And like I immediately got like a hit, and it was my mom, and it was like the $100 a month. And I was like, Mom, like, you don't know what you're doing. Like,
stop.
Like, so supportive. It's like, Mom, you just signed up for a thing. It's going to charge you $100 a month. And she's like, a month? What are you talking about? Like, I just wanted to do the one thing. It's just like, don't do it, Mom.
Just give me cash. Just give me cash. Every month.
I love you. Thank you for supporting me. Don't give these people your money. Like,
right. Oh man, that's funny.
But she did think it was a one-time installment. Like, she just thought it was like a one, like, I'll throw 100 in the bucket here. But
Right.
yeah.
I do have one question that I've asked everybody else.
Okay.
So I might as well ask it, even though it's at the hour and 43 minutes. But if you could meet your younger self, what would they say to you, seeing you as you are now?
What would oh my gosh.
That's why I asked this one. It's a little trickier than just what would you say to your younger self.
I think my younger self would be surprised that like I'm still into the things that I was into.
Oh yeah.
I really had a lot of formative years in my mother's basement in terms of like figuring out, which is not it's a hard thing to get to where you figure out that like I want to make stuff like that.
Right.
You know, like that's a hard like leap to get into. And I always did think of it like in a commercial sense. Like when I signed up for the film program, like my plan was to become a cog in that machine. Like that was just it. And I never really thought that I would have like a super big amount of creative control in it. Like I just thought like that's a job I can do and be a part of. You know, like I can believe in that mission and participate. So I think young Geremy would be surprised that that's a thing. You know, just like oh wow, like you're still
doing that thing,
still
doing the voice, huh?
Again, like still
still doing the voice, huh?
Yeah, so that hasn't changed. And then man, I don't know. I'm still like really bad at completing stuff. That's my Achilles heel. I'm hoping like I always like pack plans into things, and then when it doesn't happen, it's like it didn't happen, you know, like that's the whole. But I am going to be afforded a lot more time for my creative existence here, so I'm hoping to grab onto that and like pull as hard as I can, because I feel like this is sort of, you know, I've made some career moves to like have a go at it, and I don't want to like you know, squander it. But I think young Geremy's just like, really that still we never got past that. Like that's the thing that's still where we're doing, you know. And like a part of that is like the still photography thing, because like when I was in high school, like that was a hobby, you know, like that was like, and like I got to take a few classes, so it was like for school, and like that justified me having the equipment and like being annoying to my friends and stuff. But you know, like it's just like, you know, like, oh yeah, like you're not into this, you know, like why aren't you doing VR worlds with all the skills you,
because
like, you know
it
how
makes
to do
me
all
dizzy. That's why I don't do any VR, because I get dizzy. Yeah, exactly. Man, this has been awesome. I did not expect it to go this long, but I am so glad it did, because my favorite podcasts are the ones that go long. Like when I listen to podcasts, I love the ones that go long, because then you really get into stuff. You can really get to the point where you want to get to.
Really figure out how to make people vomit. And,
exactly. And explore different things. So this is great. Like, I don't know how Joe Rogan does 3 hours every time, but it's maybe someday I'll get there. But
motherfucker, that's a job.
Exactly. That's actually kind of where I want to go. And, you know, in this podcasting space, I find it's like, it's already a thing that's pretty niche. Even though it's becoming more common, it's still like, if you're going to listen to a podcast, you're going to listen to a podcast. And so it's like, I listen to P. Holmes' podcast, and I love how he does it. And I'm like, I'm looking for the episodes that are 3 hours long. I'm like, yeah, give me the long ones. I want to hear what you guys get into, because obviously it was good enough to go that long. I avoid the ones that are like, oh man, that was too short, or it was like they ended it early because maybe it wasn't going that well, you know, or something like that. Not that all of the short ones are bad. It's just that I just like the long ones, because it's like you can really set into it, and especially at work, you just drift off into conversation that you're not involved in.
But now you are.
Yeah, maybe we should have like a sign off thing where it's like,
okay,
I don't know how to
maybe
end.
We should have one.
Maybe I should have one here.
And that's the way the news goes.
That is so, maybe I should just force the guest to come up with one every time, and it's just always bad. So that's perfect. Here, let's just edit